In this fourth and final lecture video for this week, or demonstration video, I want to speak to the return on investment, and then I'm going to show you kind of the setup right before the final table. So we're really close to the end. I'm glad we kind of worked ahead here. I hope you guys do too. So return on investment is a key business metric, and it's very similar to the profit margin equation. A simple version of the return on investment, or ROI, I'd like to say that from now on, is the gains minus the investment divided by investment. And what you want is you want the gains to be greater. In our case, the gains are the prevented loss. So we're estimating a future loss, a very conservative estimate of future loss. We're going to ask for an investment from management. It's one part commitment, the other part actually something that they'll allow us to do something different than we've done before, to do more of a functional change in the work design versus blaming training, throwing PPE at people, or throwing up posters. And as you can see, so this gain is going to be our estimated loss. We're going to be calculating the investment. That's what we're going to calculate based on a standard ROI of 25%. In the real world, we would be able to calculate the gains, go out and do our own research and find out what we want for an investment, and then calculate the ROI for management. In this case, you can see that the difference here, 200,000 divided by the requested investment, is a 40% return. And you also have to set the time period. Is it going to be a year? Is it 2 years? What is it? And here's just another version of it here. Amount gained versus amount spent. So that's the ROI calculation. We should do this for safety because a lot of other departments, when they need funding from management, they need to relate it to the bottom line or to the profit margin. So what is the return on it? We would hope that within a year there is an appreciable, and that would be maybe a 20 to 40% return on that investment. We're just going to use 25 for our sake. But again, in the real world, the ROI would be calculated because we would have our estimate of what the loss could be, and we would go do our research to find out how much we would need in order to, attempt to correct the issue. And then the ROI would be calculated then. But so for this assignment, what we had to do is a little bit of arithmetic acrobatics in order to solve for the requested investment, given an ROI of 25%, an estimated loss. And so here's the ROI equation here in the first one. So what I did is I multiplied both sides by requested investment, so it canceled the denominator and it brought it over to the left. Then what I did is I moved the requested investment over. So I added requested investment each side. It canceled out there, just as that would cancel out. And then I factored out the requested investment. So it's requested investment times by ROI plus 1 is equal to estimated loss. What we're solving for is a requested investment. So I divided both sides by ROI plus 1. So our calculation for requested investment is the estimated loss divided by ROI plus 1. In our case, it means it's 1.25. So whatever the loss is divided by 1.25 is where we get our requested investment. There's other things we can do, though. One is, if we are to make a functional change, can we assume that we'll eliminate all claims? I don't think we can, but we did two things. One is we didn't count the outliers, so that made it a lot more conservative. And when we did our estimates, we tried to be as conservative as possible. So I kind of built in, an error magnitude so that we should be able to achieve at least the return on investment we're proposing to management. The other thing we can do is we can actually look forward, and this is going to be for next week. I'm going to look at some other interesting trends in addition to the final results table, and see how it relates back to the EMR and the premium, which I had done in last week's demonstration. I just want to go back real quick. This is from week 1 lecture. I want to go back to how we got to where we are. And so this is the recommended practices for safety health programs. If you remember this document, we had talked about it in several different lectures, but introduced in lecture 1. That the HAS ID prevention education, that's pretty standard. It aligned with the ANSI standard on what safety professionals do. And so then we went into what is management commitment, what is worker engagement, and program evaluation, and then I made a proposal if you will, that an active injury case management or return to work program is very valuable. And so the document itself has the communication and coordination for host employers, contract staffs, and staffing agencies. That's important too. But the biggest bang for the buck, I believe, is the active injury case management and return to work, which is what I hope you're actually seeing and learning as you do this data analysis. So management commitment, there's a lot of different ways in which OSHA measures it and defines it. I think it comes from what the workers think. And we're in kind of a privileged position, the safety professional, that we can go engage with workers, talk to them, get their input, and then educate management. Help them become committed because it contributes to the bottom line. Worker engagement, of course, it's ultra important. Where do you begin? You got to go talk to the workers, go observe their work, understand from them, gain their trust, develop a relationship. You're there to help, either design or redesign their work so that they can be successful, so that they can be safe, and they can elicit some satisfaction from it. That's what safety is all about. If you remember the work system model, if we rely purely on a reactive approach, then we're just blaming the worker. Oh, you got hurt? You shouldn't have gotten hurt. Don't get hurt next time. Well, and we only hear of the ones in which it results in injury. There's a lot of other potential outcomes that we don't even have, access to sometimes. It'd be good if we started moving upstream and having them actually share what they're experiencing, because then we can study it. All this project is allowing us to do is to prioritize based on previous claims. We need to look upstream. We need to look proactively at the organization, because it's the imbalance of the work system that actually contributes to a person slipping or making a mistake and ultimately getting injured. And we got to try to design that out. So the question I had posed to you is, if incidents are reported, investigated, and issues understood, and solutions implemented to prevent reoccurrence, then injury cases should decrease. But if they don't, why not? And that's the big part of what we're doing this week, is we're trending over time. If it's going up, then something's not right. If it's kind of staying consistent, it's not right. Something different has to be done. I talked about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So we're using yesterday's information, work comp, years ago, but we're trending it on the predication that if nothing changes, we can expect the same in the future. And that's why we're trying to enact a change. We're asking management to invest so we can make a change the design of work, change the way the work is done, change the tools, whatever it is, whatever we need to do. And we'll we'll interact with, we'll talk with the workers and the frontline supervisors to come up with more pragmatic solutions than what we've done in the past. So it begins with injury analysis. That's what we're doing. We'll go out, talk to workers. That's what we're going to use the money for. And then we will continue to build up to better data, more interactive assessments. And so if you remember back, and this is all week one, I copied and pasted like 7 slides that we've gone through here. Typically, safety is compliance driven. Try to be OSHA compliant, do the visual walkthrough, and train people. But what I'm trying to teach you in this class is value driven. That through the understanding of the work system approach and what organizational culture really is, we use a risk priority or risk assessment. We take a systematic approach. We use data-supported decision-making and cost-effective solutions, and employee quality management approach. That's what this project is. So what are we doing? We're going to present to management to get them to invest, to understand what it means to be committed. But we're going to use that money to go out and we're going to collaborate with the workers and supervisors to find out what we can do to functionally change the job, to reduce the chance of them being exposed to a hazard, yet allow them to successfully complete it. And again, hopefully they enjoy their job, get some job satisfaction, some pride out of the work they do. That's the ultimate goal. So let's get to the work for this week. The remaining work. Let's see. So last time we started with I made the base forecast. So nothing's been removed, nothing's been prioritized here. This is the number of claims per fiscal year. And by the way, I changed this. I used to have the N equals whatever, but this is just fiscal year. And, we've got some decent R square values. So this is what we're expecting. Created this just chart here. Yeah, but outliers are removed. It'd be interesting. We did look at it with outliers in, but this is what we ended up with. Okay. All right. So what I wanted you to do then is copy and paste this to a new tab, and then do similar analysis side by side with this. So I did repetitive motion, and as you can see, it's kind of a steady, even though it dips down and comes back up, it's kind of a steady line. As far as the cost, it's a steady increase. The R square value is pretty good for that. And then the average is down here. So I went and copied and pasted from the Wisconsin DWD website. Here they are, 2018 numbers. I showed you how to get there before. And so that's about 8,222, is that right? $8,023 is the average. Our averages are much less, but that doesn't include the outliers. What are the outliers? There are 6 of them, totaling 281,000. Average is about 46,000. Isn't that interesting? Let's see here. So through this forecast, what I decided to use was the 24,000. Why did I choose that? Because we've got a good R square value, seems to be a pretty consistent trend. It's not super, skyrocketing or anything. It seems pretty consistent. And having this much as far as outliers, I felt comfortable in going with the higher of the two numbers, though they're not that different. For struck by, for this one, the R square values are not as good. This is going down quite a bit, the total paid. The work comp average is about 8883, a lot lower than what we had. My figures are a lot lower, and so because we got a very low, one outlier, it's 29,000, I felt comfortable just sticking with the super low number. So with the $6,000, which is, kind of right around that average. I guess I could have gone 15, but with that just being 29, yeah, just because if this came down, well, yeah, I'm sticking with the 6. Sorry, 6. That's the amount. Doesn't seem like a lot. There's probably some justification, but 15 and 6 are not close together. 15,000 and 6,000. Here is for the same false same level, a decent, but that's really skyrocketing. But because of this, we have 5 outliers. The average is 92,000. It's a lot that's not included here. I decided to go ahead and go with my figure. I decided to go ahead and say, let's estimate it at 60,000 in 2023. Just because there's a lot of support for it. You see later there isn't one. For my lifting lowering, and these, by the way, I rank these based on the risk priority number. These are the Pareto setup rankings with the outliers removed. Here, we've got a number going up, we have a number going down, but we have a lot of outliers here. A lot of claims paid for the outliers here. So I decided it was safe to go with the 31, so I went with the 31. Looking back, I really could go with the 15 here, but it's 1/2. Questioning myself. Yeah, I'm going to keep it where it is. That was lifting lowering. For cut, puncture, scrape. The number's angling up, so there's a big thing in 19. There's a big thing in 21 here. Don't really like it, so I went with the lower of the two. And there's 43,000 there. So I was more comfortable going conservative there. The overall average is right about there. Here is my cotton. Tends to be going up. It's going up quite a bit. R square is not great. It is for the claims, though. So with this one, because, again, we have $392,000 in outliers that are not included, I felt a little bit more comfortable going with 14. It's not that much, especially compared to that. So I went with the 14 for this one. For the strain and injury, it's a pretty good trend, but 0 outliers. So I just didn't feel comfortable with selecting 55,000 when there's no outliers to fall back on. So I defaulted to the average, the low amount, though there is justification here to use that. For the miscellaneous unknown, there's R square values aren't good. The outliers are low, so I went with the low number. For the push-pull, looks horrible. So I could have gone with a 0, but I decided, is it justified to go to 0? Is there going to be at least 1 or 2 claims? Probably. you know, and it's a pretty low amount. I haven't put the DWD numbers over here yet. I will, but I think that that's a justified super low number just to throw in there. I didn't do number 10 yet, and that's what I wanted to save it for. Because next week, here's what we're going to do. We're going to copy and paste over these tables to a final table, build it up, and then make our final recommendations to management. That's what we have next week. That's really it. That, and look for interesting other trends. Looking into a little bit more, maybe thinking about, you know, the comparison of outliers to the rest of the data. Are they different or are they not? And I've got some papers that I'm going to provide. So I'm going to go back to my base forecast. I'm going to copy it over. And let's see, what was our, let's see what our 10th is. Our 10th is reaching and bending. So I'm going to go ahead and call this 10 reach bend. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete the ones that are not reaching and bending. And I mean, and I was going to have some extra lectures this week, but this has taken me quite a while to work through, and I'd rather have you focus and get this done, because then we can focus on other stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and build our comparative figures, or charts, whatever you want to call them, and we'll see what we have. I have a feeling this isn't going to be good, but whatever. So 17 through 21, insert. And then I'll do total paid, 21. That's fiscal year 21. Okay. Now let's do the average paid, 17 through 21. This isn't looking good. All right, let's select data, edit the name, the X values. Okay, this is number of reaching bending claims, fiscal year 2017 to 2021. Let's do this one. The name, total paid, the X value, 17 through 21. Okay. This is total paid total for reaching bending claims, fiscal year 2017 to 2021. You can label it how you see fit. I'm just trying to do something really basic right now. And now for the average, select data, click on it, edit. The name is average per claim. X value is 17 through 21. All right, let's add some trend lines and then fill in our chart. So trend line, go ahead 2 years, give me an R square. It's better than I thought it would be, but still not that great. Go ahead 2 years, give me an R square. Ugh, gross. This is going to be as gross. Oops, that didn't work. 2 R squared. All right. So as far as number of claims, I wouldn't go any more than 1. Table gives us a 5-year average of 0. Okay. Let's see. The average per claim is approximately 3,000. Just eyeballing it. And the paid, let me just go 3,000 with that as well. Oh, I gotta go down here and delete the outliers. That's right. This is reaching bending. I don't even know if there are any. Oh, there are. Yeah, don't forget to remove the outliers down below that don't fit what you're focusing on. So there's 2 of them. Let's go up and see. about 94,000. So much more comfortable with staying with the average per year. It's really low. There'll probably only be one claim. It'd be about $3,000, but it's not including those. All right, so let's bring the let's see. This was reaching bending. Yeah, my family's not gonna even probably get that. Copy. Go down here. Paste. Oh, can I cover it up there? All right, let's see. The reaching bending. It's right here. Here's what I like to do. I go up to Insert, Shapes, and I like the box with without the sharp corners. And then I go to Shape Fill, None, Shape Outline, Red, and then I go back to Shape Outline and I go Weighted, and I usually go somewhere around there. Yeah. So reaching bending, average cost is $11,169. So I'll go 11,169. Is that right? Yeah. And I'll call it Wisconsin DWD Work Comp. Okay. So nothing too thrilling with this one, but interesting, right? And then I'm going to try and get it to look the same as my other one. So when I click from thing to thing, you see I can kind of just look at it and see how it's created. So, okay, I still have to add that one. So I still have a little bit of work to do, but I hope that this particular lecture kind of helped you with understanding and when we would choose the table versus the figure. It has a lot to do with the R-square value, and it has a lot to do with what's there for outliers that kind of backs up going with a higher number than maybe what we've had before. I didn't make that jump too much because I like to be conservative. We want to be conservative. I got to get this in the right spot. Yeah. So if I had to really ballpark right now how much requested investment I have. So I've got 19.2. That brings it up to 24. Ooh, that's a really high one, isn't it? 24, 72, 95, about 102, 112, 121, 127, about 130. I think about 130,000 is going to be requested. If we were to go back to the base forecast, we tried to, what was it? It was, wow. Yeah, if we were to go by the annual average, it's about what we'd come up with. But we have it broken down. So if management doesn't want to give us 130,000 or whatever it is, we could prioritize it based on where we'd want to focus it. Okay, so instead just give us, that's not a good number, 48,000 to try and investigate, talk to workers about what we could do to reduce the exposures, the things that are causing them to slip, trip, and fall on the same level. Yeah, so that is basically it for this week. So again, no extra lecture stuff, no quiz. For the 43683 online, there's no binder assignment. It's just putting together a lot of information and then sharing it for this week's submission. So contact me if you have any questions.